less stress, more time, more money. Welcome to the Cash Flow Contractor, short with Khalil bin Haj.
What's up, Cash Flow Contractors? Khalil here. I've got another short for you today, and it's pretty short, but I talked about this in a previous episode recently. I don't remember which episode it is, but that's why we're recording this episode. You don't need to listen to the other one to find this information. No, but I recently talked about a tweet that I saw, and it was a really profound tweet for myself and helped me to diagnose some things for myself and for some clients. And it was saying that you can tell a lot about a business and a business owner by how they measure the success of their business. And when you ask a business owner, how big is your business? The measurement that they use to determine how big their business is says a lot about the problems they might be having when they're growing their company. And again, this isn't talking about companies that have been around for decades and have been through all of the trials and have faced so many of the challenges that you will face in business, but it's talking about the companies that are just starting, that are under 5, under 10 years old and growing. And you can learn a lot by those things. There's usually 4 ways of determining that measurement of how big is your business. And so I'll go through each of them and talk about what problems you might be facing if you measure your business on that measurement scale, and if you're growing, what those problems look like. So start with the first one. How big is your business? And your answer is in terms of employee headcount. We've got 30 employees or what have you. We have this many trucks, right? And the problems that you might face if you're growing too fast, if you're not growing sustainably and predictably, but growing on a whim, are that you've probably overhired. You're trying to build this empire and you are not having good profit margins because all of your money is tied up in payroll. And so you've got this huge company headcount and you're not paying attention to things like your profit margins, or you are so caught up in building that team that you're not as focused in sustainable sales and diverse markets and, the other things that you need to run to grow a business successfully. And so you're paying way too much probably in payroll. And I think that's a good lesson for a lot of people, is to hire when it's time to hire, not when just because I want to be more successful and this is what I'm measuring success off. So I hire somebody just to say that my team's bigger. People really do fall into that. The next way that someone measures their business, you ask them, how big is your business? And they may say their top line sales. And that's probably the most common one. But if you're a growing company, the danger here with having that as your measurement of your success is that you may not be looking at your profit margin. You may be selling you may be selling just to sell, and you might have to discount in order to win that sale. Or you might be selling services or products that aren't actually profitable for your business. And so a lot of times that might run you into the ground. And you can mask that because sales is a lot of what a successful business needs and a growing business needs. But over the long term, you may start to see that, oh, wow, we're selling these services and people are buying it, but it's because it's such a great value. We're losing money on this, or we're not making any money on this. So that's a big problem that you will see in a business that measures themselves by their top line revenue in a growth mode that they're in. The next answer, how big is your business? And you're measuring your success based on your service area or how many locations you have, is really indicative of a growing company. What's really indicative of their failures in this matter. I don't like the way I said that. The third way that you can measure success in a growing company, when someone asks you how big is your business, and you answer, we have this large of a service area or this many locations. And growing companies that grow too quickly and try to cover too big of an area usually don't have the same systems at all of these companies. And they're not taking on a new location in the proper manner. They may not have the right fit for the general manager at that new location, or they may not have the right employees in that massive service area. And so what you usually see is that one location is actually funding all of the other locations, and they would be much more profitable if they just focused on the one location rather than going into multiple locations. And a lot of times they actually don't have the systems down at all of these other locations. And because of those lack of systems, you have all of these kinds of problems that happen at the new locations or the different areas that they're servicing rather than at their home base. And so you have to be careful to grow into a new market. If you're doing it too fast, there's a lot of things that you're going to overlook, and you may be growing in vain. And lastly, the final measurement for how big is your business is in terms of profit margin. And you rarely see people talking about how much they did in profit. But if they did, what you're probably going to find in a growing business is that they may have not diversified well enough. And they have one or two really big clients that are funding much of their success. And one of those clients decides to leave or find a new partner to work with or whatever it might be. And all of a sudden, their entire top line revenue, including their bottom line revenue, is out the window. Another way of seeing it is that a lot of times in that big profit margin, they may be doing all of the work themselves. And that's fine, but it's a high risk job, not a business usually. And because they're not, hiring and taking on those expenses to be able to, have a profitable business that works without them, they are usually working too much, and they're not hiring people, so they don't have those expenses, but they're not able to delegate either. And so they're tied down to that high risk job. So those are the four answers that you typically see when how big is your business. They may answer and measure success in terms of headcount, in terms of their top line sales, in terms of their service area or locations, or in terms of their bottom line revenue. And the problems that you run into are having too big of an employee headcount and too much overhead, maybe growing too quickly and servicing too much of an area at a loss sometimes. It may be that they're selling services that aren't profitable or discounting those services too heavily. And there are huge impacts of that, and basically just doing work to do work without any profit at the back end. And lastly, maybe they're not delegating because they're not hiring, or they're not diversified. So those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you find that interesting. When you ask yourself, how big is your company? How do you answer? How do you measure success? And hopefully there's some tips that you can understand how you might be able to look at your business differently and measure success a little bit differently, and approach growth in a predictable manner, in a sustainable manner, in a patient manner. So hope this episode helps you find less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Thanks for listening. Hey, Cashflow Contractors, thanks for listening to that short episode on how big is your business. And I hope that you found it helpful. It's just a little idea that can really transform the way that you see your role and what you've been doing, and just taking a reflection on how is the business going and how am I doing as a business owner. Really important stuff. But if you want to grow your business successfully and get big, a really good way to do that in a successful way, a sustainable way, predictable, and just a patient way as well, is building a growth foundation. You never want to build a house without a sturdy foundation. You don't want to build your business without a sturdy foundation. And that's what we've aimed to do with our growth foundation. We truly believe that it's the best way to scale and grow your business is from that foundation. We go through your messaging. We make sure that you're talking your customer's language and addressing exactly what their pain points are. Then we go through and we make sure that your design is a really professional design that you can promote to customers and feel good about the visual appeal that you're giving off for your brand. Then we house it inside of all of your channels. We build a new website for you. We get all of your channels operating in a really great manner that's accurate. And then we get your CRM in place so that you can have better customer relationships. We connect that CRM to all of your accounts and do all the integrations for you so that your QuickBooks, your ads, your social accounts, any other software, project management tools like Trello are all connected to your CRM, and you're able to operate your business out of that one place. So check out the Growth Foundation in the link below. You can schedule a meeting directly with me. We'll get to learn more about your business and see exactly what opportunities are there for you. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great week.